everybody, Wes McDonald here, and I'm with my good friend, Larry Ken.
Hello. So today, well, actually, we'll wait. We'll wait till we put up the sign.
Yeah.
But things are okay.
Nice. Well, it's great to see you because you're definitely not local. And look, we got a special guest popping in right now. Just 1 second. What's going on, Rick Lambert?
Geez, hey, good morning, gentlemen. I tell you, it's spring break, and although I can't travel because my daughter's got a gymnastics competition, Wes, your shirt makes me feel like I'm warmer already.
Well, and the truth is, I'm faking it, but Kenneth Edmonds isn't, and he'll get into that in a second. But yeah,
well, must be an important topic. Looks like both you guys got a haircut for this one.
Well. If you can call this a haircut, it is honestly the worst butcher job I've ever had in my life. I was sharing that with Ken before we actually got started this morning. So if anyone has any comments about bad haircuts, please feel free to share them. You cannot beat this mess.
No. All four corners look really good, buddy. They all look good.
Oh, you're a good man. But I think I may have to take it down to the wood again just to try and even things out. So
go with the numbers. Just go with the number zero.
And I got one a couple of weeks ago. Yes, it was a matter of discussion for last week's show.
It certainly was.
But my wife does mine, so I have an in-house barber, which is nice.
Hey, and Rick, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. And obviously, the topic that we'll be moving through is rich and interactive media, right? And this is one of those topics I think is so important. And I'm going to get into it a little bit more. We'll kind of start moving through some of the different ways that people can utilize it, including using services that you provide. But we have come so far, right? I just call it a COVID cut. Thanks, Sarah. We have come so far compared to anything that we used to do in the past. And actually, maybe I'll start this way. So many years ago, when was this magazine published? Doesn't say, it says summer, but I was a lot younger, as you'll see when we move through the pictures. But this magazine, my family and I did a trip across Canada. And at that time, it was all sponsored. So we had sponsorship for videos that we posted every 2 days. So the method was we would upload the videos to DVD. We had sponsorship to get those shipped overnight back to Toronto as we crossed the country. Our video editor would then take those DVDs and produce content. So every 2 days there would be a new, snippet from whichever province we were in and whatever things we were doing. Right? So we got featured in this magazine. So I'll see how young we all were back then. Yeah. And that was a ton of fun. But fast forward to today, here we are. We're all live, right? So this will go into sort of where we're from, right? I'm just going to go into the banners here for a second. Make sure that you do leave your questions and comments. Join the conversation. That's the beauty of this live interactive media. And Ken's favorite part, where you're from, because we are all in different places today, right?
We are in different places. You're in your usual place. But I am sitting in the Admirals Club Lounge at DFW Airport en route to LA.
Nice. And I am on the shores of Lake Erie, just outside lovely Port Colborne, across from Buffalo, for those that are stateside. And what about you, Rick? Where are you?
Well, I'm clearly not at a onboarding there with all the people chatting behind you there, Ken. We can hear everybody dragging around. I'm in London, Ontario, Canada. So for those of us, they tell people in Canadian call centers that support U.S. markets, they always tell them to say, we're just north of Detroit.
Wow. I love it.
It's a way to, anyway. Yes.
Oh. Well, thanks for joining us from there. But here we are live and in person. And one of the things I'm going to do is just make sure if folks are out there, Ken, you can see the comments for other people where they're visiting from to let us know. And the first thing I want to do is kind of have a look at just getting into a bit of a discussion about what rich and interactive media really is, right? So I'm just going to pop a screen up here. All right. So the screen that you're looking at does have a little quote here, and notice it's from Google. And I think Google knows a thing or two about what they're looking for. And their definition is that rich media is a digital advertising term for an ad that includes advanced features like video, audio, or other elements that encourage viewers to interact and engage with the content. And I'll just zoom in on that a little bit there, right? So any of these formats, and we're going to get into some of the specifics of what those formats can look like as well, right? And I don't know, Rick, do you have anything that you would add to a definition like this?
I think what's happening is the traditional. We've been doing video for 20 years. We have a video team that uses the latest software. The lighting, all the green screens, and clearly, the power of the ability to create has gone right into today's phone. And I think people drastically underestimate the power, and I say power meaning the reach, the scale, the desire for consumption of video. And recently, well, just yesterday, we did one of our clients, Impression Solutions, a great distributor. We just did a digital sales boot camp with them, and part of the program was about how do we transition from traditional relationships, we'll call it, right, into this digital world. And we talked about digital relationships in a positive way. And I think rich media, be it video, which is one of multiple, because there's audio, there's all kinds of different formats. I just think people got to figure out their own safety zone and try it rather than sit on the sidelines and be a spectator sooner than later.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right. And you and I have had conversations too about kind of having this digital presence, right? That, it's something that people simply are not engaging in, kind of enough, right? That it's all out there. And the reason I showed that magazine, like you've been doing pro video for over 20 years, you do some of the most amazing stuff, I've ever seen, right? I didn't know what I was doing back then, but, we still tried to figure it out as much as possible given the tools of the time, right? And the tools of the time today are absolutely, incredible. And Ken, you got something to add there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because Rick mentioned the phone, and so many people overestimate or underestimate the power of just taking your phone and going live, or taking your phone and doing something. And because of my travel channel, I had a great example of something. I have what I would consider the worst video ever, is the highest watched video on my channel, both in views, and it was a guy walking around a resort talking to me on his phone and showing different accessibility features just on his phone. He was in Mexico, I was in the US, and we created a video that is my most watched video. So it's not about production quality, it's about providing useful information, and connecting with your audience, I think.
Yeah, and I think I'll get Rick you to speak to this a little bit, right? Because there are all these different formats, right? Sort of the pro and the selfie, and I'll get into the platform specific stuff in a minute. But I know that you just recently did some training for some sales reps for a major OEM on this very topic, right? So maybe you can dive into that a little bit. What's involved there?
Am I allowed to mention the OEM? You seem to.
No.
Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Look, I think credit should be given where it's due. So our great partners at Xerox last fall said, "Hey, look, we understand the power of video. We think that we want to encourage our top salespeople to get more active on video because of its reach, yada yada." And so they graciously asked me to come down and run a program called How to Create Selfie Videos, basically for salespeople. And we had about, there were 50 dealers, top ones, I think, across the country. Earl Everson was in the program, and I can tell you he was the only person in the room that had ever shot and posted a video. So he's off the charts in terms of comfort level, volume, all that kind of stuff. And I really respect what he's done for his, in that lane. I mean, clearly he's a front runner. But the rest of them, with no exception other than him, had never shot a video. And so the premise of the program was basically they'd been through a lot of product training information. And then we all know what happens, right? At these things, you have about, Ken, maybe 8 to 10 of your American Bud Lights, and you forget everything on the flight home, right? So the goal was to capture basically the essence of some of the key takeaways and then have the individuals share that in an informative, educational way in a very short video shot with their own phone. And I think everybody in the program, within 2 hours from, hey, here's Rick Lambert, this is what he's going to do, 2 hours later, everybody had 3 videos that they felt comfortable posting. And the biggest challenge I find is not so much just the technical stuff, like, do I hold my phone up here? It's not, there's some minor things there. But the biggest thing people always ask is, what do I say?
Yeah.
Because they don't, you guys have been doing this for a while, and you feel comfortable on video, obviously. But for some reason, as soon as you put a camera in someone's face, and we've seen it in our video studio, you bring in an executive CEO in, and he or she is very comfortable. But as soon as you say, okay, the camera's on, like it's a different, you've hit them with a crazy stick or something. And so anyway, the point is that I think people, this is my suggestion, you can go different places, but I just think a little bit of coaching up front would really help people go on the right path, because they're afraid of damaging their personal brand. I don't want to look like a fool. And how many people do we see? You guys know a lot of people in the industry. How many people do we know that would be great on video? They're active on social media, but they just don't make that step. And even look at the platform you guys have got right here. Okay, so video is not all about selfies. What if you used a platform like this, Wes, and a company like a dealer would interview 2 of their customers on why managed IT, or why, like this is, so I think it's a little bit of coaching up front to say, hey, here's the way you can do it with low effort, low cost, low whatever. So anyway, we were able to do that with Xerox, and we just secured a second event with another OEM now that things are opening up in April, to go down and basically take their traditional sales force that have very good traditional relationships and how to get those into a digital arena using rich media.
Well, and I encourage them to use your services, right? So make sure you reach out to, obviously people are watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, but get in touch with us. We'll get you in touch with him, because again, I think that primer is so important, right? The basics, and taking some of that fear away from it as well, right? Because I find that once people do start to do videos, once they get past that initial hurdle, then they start to go, wow, it's not as scary as I thought it was, right? So make sure you get in touch with Rick.
Well, appreciate the trailer there, big guy. I mean, look, I didn't come on here to do that. I'm just saying I would encourage whoever to give it a try. That said, I would also seek someone that's candid with you. I think a lot of the senior dudes that run companies, people will tell them what they want to hear. And I think you need someone that goes, you know what, like, we might want to move it up off your chin there, big guy, a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need your actual mug in the shot. So anyway.
And Ken, you had something to add there too?
Well, I was going to say, one of the things when in the service management class I teach, and I talk to the service managers about taking time when somebody sends them a letter commending a tech for a good job. Said, call them up, get them on a Zoom call, tell them you just want to record, basically you want them to tell their story. Because I think there is so much power, especially when you can get the customer to share their story. So I was talking to somebody the other day about, and he talked about that the real key now is starting to be case studies. So if you can get a customer to tell you how by working with you, they achieved and overcome some of their pain points, then when somebody that's in a similar industry, a similar business, has similar pain points, sees that video, I think the power of that is just incredible.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too, just a little trick that I've learned as well, as you both know, I do a lot of video podcast interviews, right? And I never just start off with the interview. It's always, 10 minutes of banter, getting relaxed and cozy and conversational. And then when I engage in the interview, I say exactly what we're doing right now. That's all we're going to do for the next 40, 45 minutes, right? And it just kind of cushions them into that area where it's like, oh, this isn't some big deal. It's not like I'm on CNN or Fox News, or it's like, no. This is very real and up close and personal, right? I do want to speak a little bit about platform though. And this is a lesson I learned, is that if you're trying to get exposure on LinkedIn, let's say with video, it's a very good idea to upload video directly to LinkedIn, because they run their algorithms just like they do on YouTube. So YouTube, they'll push videos that are posted on their site for their algorithms over just having links, right? And that's something that I just recently learned for LinkedIn as well, that it's better to upload that media directly to LinkedIn versus putting a link, right? So just little, things that you'll, kind of learn along the way, right?
Yeah. So we're doing a ton of work, obviously, in LinkedIn. We think it's a no-brainer for salespeople. I've never seen a tool in my whatever, I don't know how many years I've been selling now, like it. But I always say to people, like, it's the ultimate chamber of commerce meeting. If you're selling, if you're an MSP or whatever business you're in, office products, whatever. But we did an event for real estate agents, which is typically not an audience for LinkedIn, about a month ago, on how to basically shoot videos. And traditionally, you'd think about a real estate agent would shoot the tours, right? Hey, here, whatever they do these tours. But one of the things that we talk to them about is these selfie videos, and how basically the impact of a post, the lowest value post might be a picture, let's say from outside the house. The second value would be a picture of you in front of the house. So your face is now in the picture, right? So people want to see the face. The next level up would be a audio. So for people that want to create rich media that may not feel that their outfit, their hairdo, their confidence, whatever's right for the day, you would just narrate the video. So that's an underused thing, right? You're shooting the video, but it's your voice. And then last, of course, is you shooting a selfie with what's in behind. And we saw an immediate uptake on that because a lot of in different markets as we get in outside the imaging tech sector, people want to get into rich media. They just don't know how or what to do.
I think that's a great tip you just threw out there. And Sarah, you made me giggle there a bit because you did the one video on LinkedIn because I challenged you to do it. So I know you can do more. And Rick, one of the things that you said there, though, is I love this idea that even if you don't want your face in the video, because some people are sensitive to that, narrating while they're filming something. What a great tip.
Well, it's take someone like Sarah Henderson, who I think she's awesome, and personality plus industry knowledge. And Sarah, just because you're texting there, I'll use you an example, but there's a classic example of somebody that could share so much through short videos. And I would also just suggest respectfully that, the old KISS, right? But I change it to keep it short, stupid, because some of these things go on, and I guarantee like you're the only one watching past probably about a minute and change. But you guys have done such a great job with this platform. I mean, Ken, I know you've done videos on your own as well. You mentioned interviewing, customers' case studies. They can be a minute long. They don't have to be, and this is where people get confused. And, rich media isn't all video. It could be audio. But I think you need to have some kind of plan up front. And that's where, Wes, someone like you or whatever, your disciplines, if you just gave them coaching up front, I think they'd be so much more successful. And that's why early mistakes get people to go, you know what, that's not worth it. The big rise, I'll tell you right now, guys, that we're seeing is our clients are now, we're starting to do more podcasting for the client. Yes. And you may say, well, how's that contribute to lead generation? There's no immediate ROI, but it's complete, just reach and educational. I'm really looking forward to this month. I'm speaking at the CDA conference on upselling and cross-selling and on LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn to win. But I've got a lunch session where we're going to launch our new webinars in a box, because like rich media webinars, you guys know, every time you go to a dealer, hey, why don't you do a webinar on managed IT or whatever? It's so much lifting, like who's got the presentation, who's going to talk? Oh, we don't have time. How do we organize? So we're just going to go, you know what? We're going to create a movie on each of the key offerings, and your guy or lady can talk at the beginning. Thanks for coming. Enjoy the movie. Boom, they play our movie. That'll be cool as anything, educational. And at the end, they come in and go, what'd you think? Who wants to come on down and talk to us about security, et cetera. So it's just another emerging thing, podcasts and webinars.
Oh, podcasts are amazing, right? And like I said, I do both video podcasts and audio podcasts. And one of the things, to your point on short videos, that's what gets people's attention. I've been creating short videos, and Ken's been working on audio snippets, which then have a link if somebody is interested in the full content that they can click below. Yeah. So, because I completely agree with you, right? That if people are not going to that piece to already be engaged to learn something, they're not going to spend a bunch of time in there, right? Now, live streams are different even yet, because there will be people that pop in 15 minutes into this that weren't there for the first 15 minutes. Yeah. Or 20 minutes from now, you'll get two more people that were in, and you get people that'll jump out. So it's amazing how these different platforms have different rules for, what we're trying to accomplish. But I think the key thing is just to make sure that you're trying something, right?
Well, that's why we spread our jokes out over the program, Wes? We don't get them all up early.
We got to keep a few for the newbies that pop in later.
Exactly.
And one of the things, Sarah, did put up live streams because we're actually doing that, and it's one of those newer things that people are starting to do. In some cases, like at the MPSA, we've actually started doing live streams instead of webinars, right? So that we set it up in kind of the same way, because of the fact that once it's produced, and Ken, if you can mute there for a second, buddy, because it's live streaming, like this one, for example, is going to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook simultaneously. and it lives on there as content for forever thereafter, right? So as people are scrolling through their feeds, even if they're not enjoying the live experience, it will eventually come up in their feeds. And we were running some stats for the MPSA on how those numbers grew after the actual live event. It was astounding, like just the numbers of people that started coming in, right? And this is learning for us, because this is something absolutely that's new for everybody, right? But I would certainly encourage people, if you're going to do a live stream, try and make sure you get it set up for streaming to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Why not? Why not do all three, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Ken.
And I was just going to say, somebody I studied when I was working on my other channel, on my YouTube channel, and he had a saying that I love. He said, the first piece of it is just punch fear in the face and hit record. Because we sometimes are afraid, and then he said, your first video is going to be your worst video. Try to get 1% better every time. And if you do that, it's the repetition and the constant practice that really starts to hone your skills and starts to make things look good.
Ken, I agree with you. There's an old interview question, right? When when I was a sales manager, they said, be careful asking someone how many years experience they have. Because, let's say someone comes and says, oh, I got 10 years experience selling, and that could be 10 years of bad habits. And that's why, again, I'm just standing back on the goal line saying, hey, make sure you've got someone saying, okay, don't go that way. Okay, this is kind of a safe zone for you to get going until you feel out kind of what works and what doesn't. And Wes, your point about, I think, was really relevant in terms of scaling the content, because rich media tends to take more effort to create in some cases. But what you're doing, I think, is phenomenal about, you can watch it, you can listen to it on the channel of choice. And I think what you're doing at MPSA is awesome to bring the voice. And really what we're building, guys, with digital media, or sorry, you're calling it rich media, is you're building digital bricks in a wall that will last forever. And that's why people, the organic post, we'll call it the direct post to LinkedIn, is good. The problem is, yes, it's better in some ways. The challenge becomes that the lifespan. Do you guys know what the lifespan is of a post on LinkedIn? Quick quiz question. Sorry.
Good question.
No,
I don't.
Only if you drink Gatorade, you'll know the answer.
Yeah.
We'll put it to our audience there. I know there's one guy, last name Walters, that'll probably know the answer. But anyway, it's just kidding, buddy. It's 24 hours. So I know you may say, well, Rick, I've seen posts that are a week ago. I'm saying that the typical lifespan. So that's why I think sometimes you got to choose with your content where you place it, whether it's a transactional piece or you want longevity out of it. But the reach that you were talking about, that's the coaching up front. How do I create it once, but scale it many times? And oh, by the way, get it in front of the right people.
Greg says 24 hours. He says 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Better put. Yeah. Exactly.
I love it.
That's just my stuff, Greg. Yeah.
Well, and that's great to know, right? And certainly, like I said, I'm wondering if live streams work differently, right? Because we log in every day to look at the uptake for the new people that have engaged in that content. And it's climbing every day, and it's not just 24 hours. And I mean, substantially, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's got to be something a little different there when it is. I'm not sure how they promote live streams or anything else. And algorithms are tricky monsters, right? But the trick is you've got to do something. I love it. Let's talk about some other new stuff that's coming up too, right? Because my wife is a retailer. And one of the things that we did, as you would with any business, typical retailer will set up a website. And if they're fairly sophisticated, then they'll have links for people to be able to buy their product, right? So you can actually, go onto the site and buy some stuff or get an experience through photographs through the store. But let me tell you, the amount of traction that she's getting now on Instagram and Reels with short videos is unbelievable, right? So much higher than just the traditional standard photographs that are posted. So even those platforms like Instagram are turning into digital media engines, right? That they're turning into rich media engines. That video is far surpassing now the growth for what they're doing, right? So there's just no avoiding it. Now, I don't do any TikTok personally. I think I'm a little too old for that. But certainly I do work with her on her Instagram Reels to help produce that content and stuff as well, right? And a few of them have gone viral, and it gets her followers and it gets new people in the store, right? So different verticals have different impacts depending on where they're broadcasting that information, right?
You mentioned the taking pictures of the store to a video. I think you were saying your wife
Yeah.
did. I sit on a advisory board for a local college, their digital marketing program, and we asked the graduating students, what do you look for in an employer? Like, how do you go about hunting, searching, right? Because it's all done online, especially with that Gen Z. And you know what they said? The biggest thing they look for on the website is a video tour they'd like to see of the environment that they would be going into. And think of the websites, like in the industry, guys, that we work in a lot with the MSPs. If you went to 100 websites, 10 websites, whatever, I would argue that maybe you might find 1 in 100, if that, like an actual inside tour. Here's our knock or whatever. Here's our sales bullpen. So we just popped up a website for a large MSP and that was one of our main planks on their career page. Was we wanted to have a video tour to the appropriate TikTok music, by the way, Wes, that walked them through, and it gives you such a more like feel. And one of the things that I think you guys are also doing with what you do is you're building trust and familiarity and all that, because the first time you meet somebody, would you be in a better position, you think, having seen them on video or some type of rich media before you met with them, or just cold like a traditional, first call? I think the first would be so much more effective.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, right? It does give, an opportunity to, to get to know people, before you actually see them. And I got to tell you, that's one thing I love. Even, I don't know if you consider it, interactive media, rich media, but even doing Zoom calls with people, right? Versus, just doing a regular phone call, to be able to get that, kind of, thing going, right? So here's a quick little video you were just talking about, just using an example where people get to come inside, have a look, see what kind of, stuff is in there, right?
Awesome.
And again, just a very simple way to kind of, give people a feel. And the number of people that obviously, come in and, see the location because of that. And I only raise it because, to your point exactly, we had this conversation about using video for websites like career pages, right? Like having that little tour to go through and see things. And it just has such an impact, right? So appreciate you raising that. So there's an example anyway.
Your wife's bang on. And, the other thing we've done too is some exterior shots. Like, so in a retail setting, people, where are you? Oh, you're located. You're close to the church, or you're down. Oh, you know what I mean? Like that's a second shot. But, anyway, so much potential. You mentioned something there as well. Sorry, I'm just picking up on what you're saying is,
of course,
going on virtual calls. So you wouldn't believe it, but we're being asked right now a lot to help people prepare and execute a Zoom, Teams, whatever you want to call it, a digital meeting, because people are freaking out. Yesterday, I had this group we talked to, great people. And one of my questions was, like, on a 1 to 10 scale, like, how would you rate your attire and background in terms of the professionalism you want to show? Because old school, we used to go into someone's office, we'd look around, they got the golf picture, they got the whatever, and you pick up right off those things. Well, if we don't think people are looking around on these virtual calls from attire to background to whatever, like, we are kidding ourselves. And I think, the old saying, right? The more we work from home, the more homeless we tend to look. I think there's some validity in that. And we just got to be very careful with what we show, I believe, anyway.
I agree with you. And I think, just take a little time. And that's one thing I always encourage friends to do when they start to do these things, is just have a look at your background a little bit, right? Like, what is in there? And to your point, I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm just going to hide you for a second, because then I think I'll get a full view of my background as well, right? So one sec, I'll hide you both. And so there's some key things that are in this shot, right? I love Star Wars. That's there. Of course, the plants and everything else, but just a little bit of, setup for the background, so that it doesn't feel just like you're looking at, someone's kitchen counter or whatever, right? And these things have all been put into frame because I want them there, right? And I know I'm going to remove myself from the stream and look at your background, Rick, because I always love your background.
Well,
get a load of this.
I was just going to ask you if you water that shirt too with the plants around you.
Little for that, little for me.
Sorry. Hey, look at so call it busy, call it whatever. One of the things that we do though is we're doing, believe it or not, a lot of demand for virtual backgrounds, like branding. So we work with a telecom company. They found that people's backgrounds wasn't, we'll call it up to snuff. So we created virtual backgrounds with their logos, and just cleaned everything right up.
Yeah, and I just did have your background up there in full screen mode because I love it. You've got inspirational sayings back there. You're a hockey fan. You were a professional player. I can see some of that behind you. Like, it tells a story about Rick Lambert, right? What Rick is all about. I love it.
Well, that's why I make the odd mistake here and there too. I'm not perfect, I'll tell you that. Yeah, too many times
Well,
into the boards. Yeah.
yeah. Well, tell you what, man. Some of the best lessons I've learned are in the virtual boards. I've never played hockey, but oh, that's great. And hey, in respect for your time, you've been so generous with it. And I know we're running a little bit over, but I did want to talk just again a little bit about some other stuff. Podcasts and snippets, right? So, like I said, I've been producing micro videos from some of these video podcasts that I do because most people are not going to engage in that full content, but they'd love to have a couple of gold nuggets in a 30-second clip, right? So being able to produce those and then link them to the larger content. I know that for the stuff that we do, Ken's been doing that with audio snippets as well, right? Which also have, transcripts. They look really cool, but it's just another way to kind of get your stuff out there and engage people. And especially on LinkedIn, I do like those audio snippets with the cool looking scrolls, because its default mode on LinkedIn is no volume, right? So people can see things that they may be interested in before they hear things, if they're in the office or whatever, right? And I wonder, would you consider this rich media? I'm seeing a lot more use of this, and I don't know. I just threw it up here because it's definitely, if under Google's definition, right, where it's getting more interactive, sort of discussion going. These polls that people are doing, and these posts, right, where they're asking questions and trying to get people to respond. Is that interactive media as well? I think the interactive or digital, media, is it just bound to things that we look at or listen to?
If you're asking Ken, do you want to bid on this one first?
Well, I think that listening and we want to build engagement. I think is the key of it. The nice thing about polls and posts is you have the opportunity to try to draw some engagement in. One of the things that when we do with the audience, just to get started at the start of every show, is where are you watching from? Because it's to get people to start commenting. Because first of all, it kind of fuels the engine in the analytics, because they see interaction that says, okay, this is something for interest. We'll show it to more people. So that's a piece of it. But I think just the back and forth, and then we get some interesting comments. So I'll just pop up another one here. We've ignored Sarah there.
Oh, okay, well.
But it's
Thank you, Sarah.
To get people part of the conversation, because we all start to take a little more ownership if we're part of the conversation. That's my perspective on it.
Yeah, and Rick, I'll get you to to take your perspective on this, and I'll give mine a little bit too. Is that, I mean, I have posted the odd poll, but I'm not sure what value they really bring, other than gauging kind of the temperature on different topics, right? But I wonder sometimes if it's not an echo chamber, because most of my network, I may be asking a question that's already going to get the answer that I want, right? I don't know, but I'm seeing a lot more of that, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Hey, I think polls are great. We worked with you'll be familiar in Canada with the Ivy School West Americans. This would be the Harvard MBA program of Canada, and we worked with a few hundred of them on the topic of personal branding. And the question around polls came up because the biggest question we got from MBAs, and these are international students largely, like they're no slouches, and the biggest question they had was like, what should I post? Because I've invested all this in my MBA, yada yada. Anyway, what we suggested to them around polls and content is just try and figure out who your audience is and speak to that audience. And I think a lot of people go way outside their target audience. And this is just my opinion, but LinkedIn, which I'm a huge fan of for B2B people, your audience is not a poll, in my opinion, on, what's the best ride at Disney World. Like, I just think you could, but this is just me. I think the more you bring value in your polls to your target audience. So I did a poll a few weeks ago that said, what would you prefer if you had to choose between either great marketing content or great marketing automation, because both are relevant, but forcing people to pick one or the other. The content superseded by a fair bit, but the other thing that I think we got to think about too on this topic, which is a hot one, rich media, is what is the frequency?
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, I'll do one and I'll do the Hail Mary and, wait to see. But Wes, think how frequently you're out there, or Ken, how you're out there. You guys are hitting it multiple times a week, if not sometimes per day.
Yeah.
And, you got to find time to do it. But, we suggest in our programs is like 3 to 5 posts per week. And I would argue that in the new sales model in 2022, we're encouraging our sales leaders that we work with to include LinkedIn activity as part of their activity mix.
Yeah, I agree with you. Frequency and consistency, right? And that's one thing I love about this live stream format is that, do or die, like, Ken and I are doing these every week, right? Like, same time, 11 o'clock every week. Yeah. And Ken's amazing, like where the technology has come, doing it on a ship or in an airport or in a hotel or anything else, right? And it is a much more, casual thing. And I'm really glad you added that, though, which is that it's all for naught unless there is that frequency and consistency, right? Because
it's like working out, right? It's like, we buy the membership, right? We hire the consultant to come in and we do our 60 sit-ups and then, with no results. So we're back to the bar with our buddies, right? It doesn't work that way. And that's why, I think you need a strategy, you need upfront coaching. Like, Ken, think of someone from a service standpoint. If you sat in their huddle at the beginning of the game and said, guys, these are the plays I think we got to run, they'd be so much further down the field quicker. Same with what you do, Wes, like your expertise, you would coach them initially. And, but I just think you guys are on a hot topic. I got to jump if that's okay, but I just want to say congrats on what you two are doing, because you guys are living examples of how rich media, multimedia, video, and I'm sure you've had conversations, because people always ask me, what's the ROI? Okay. And, if I go back to the workout program, and this is off the top of my head, so I may go the wrong way on this, but the ROI of going on a workout program may not be as immediate as let's say your beautiful haircuts you guys did before today's program. But you never know who's watching or who's tuning in. And I can guarantee you guys have had business opportunities out of this as a result of stuff that you didn't even know who's watching.
Absolutely.
And that's the tough part, is to convince sometimes the executive that, look, at the opportunity costs are out there. But if it was between, like, we're having a lot of companies right now say, you know what, I'll take 1 feet off the street, one sales rep, and I'll put that into media because my coverage, yada, yada, is so great. And, if I could just close on one thing that's kind of more important maybe than our topic, and I don't want to be whatever, but, we're really doing what we can in my company to support the people in Ukraine. And I don't want to bring that up.
Oh, amen, brother. Bring it up.
Absolutely. But I just, we're trying to do some things to support. And my heart goes out to those people. I have friends that are Ukrainian, and, we're cheering obviously for you guys anyway. But
yes, we are.
I just want to say thanks, guys, very much for having me on today. Really appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and you're looking good, guys.
Well, and thanks for all your expertise and for sharing that. Yep. So really appreciate it, brother.
See you, boys.
All right. Cheers. And hey, I did want to get to, Sarah was asking a question. I didn't want to sort of interrupt the flow there. But you were looking at simple editors that you prefer. There's a couple directions that you can go here. Oh, let me get a better view here. Let's see if I can do this. I use DaVinci Resolve for my video podcasts because A, it's free, and B, it's what's used by everyone in Hollywood, right? So it is updated frequently, and it's unbelievable. There's no catch. It's completely free. There are some learning curves for that. But if you just want to produce some short videos, then you can use a product like Canva, which is free at the basic level. And then you can get some more premium features, like Ken and I use it quite a bit. So, we do share designs with each other and, kind of work through it that way, right? So, and you can create your videos and do videos within this very simply, from your shots, right? And they'll actually have templates too. You can actually do some cool, templated stuff. So I would encourage anyone to get out there and try some of that free stuff, Sarah. So hopefully that helps you out on that question. And Ken, I'm not sure if you have another suggestion there.
Well, I'm not an I person, so I don't remember the name, but I know some of the group that I'm in a mastermind for YouTube travel content creators, and several of them there's some, basically it's an app that's built into the iPhone, I believe, or it's in the App Store that they use, and they do a lot of their editing on it. My eyes are too bad. My fingers are too fat to even begin working on a phone. I have to do it on. I use DaVinci as well on my PC.
Yeah. So DaVinci, if you're going to get more serious about it, and for simple stuff, I would encourage you to go ahead and try Canva. And I do actually some of my video work on Canva on my computer as well. So even with fat fingers, it's a nice, easy thing. Just send make sure you get your video, send it to yourself, and then upload it to Canva, and off you go. So, well, that's great. And for everyone that's tuned in today, I want to, obviously thank everybody. Do not forget, we got to throw this little plug in there. Get flat rate certified. And I know there's going to be some folks on the call that don't know what that means today, but if you're in the Office Equipment channel, you do. And you need to talk to Ken and I to get some help there. And if that help is just reviewing the program that you already have in place, if that program is us helping you to design some of the elements or build it entirely for you, that's what we're here for. And you can learn more about what customers are seeing for Flat Rate Certified by going to flatrate.world. So, Ken, thanks again for another great week, and I look forward to doing this again next week.
Yep, next week I'll be on a ship.
Yes, you will.
Somewhere different.
Well, everybody, thank you very much, and until next time, keep learning.
All right, we'll see everybody.